coming up on this edition of The Solo Show.
And if you look at Ken and I both posted on Facebook pictures, you can see those lights kind of in our picture even.
Yeah.
I was looking at the picture I took. I'm like, oh yeah, there's those lights right there. So if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see those lights shining right in our eyes.
Well, that explains why you two were so well lit in those photos.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That might have been the best selfie we've ever taken.
You know what? It was a really good selfie, actually.
And the sad thing about it was, I went out to talk to the woman that was sort of taking tickets and everything, and I just kind of came down the hall and said, "Could somebody turn the lights off in our theater?" And she's like, "Oh yeah," and then she sort of strolled off. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Geez, thanks, appreciate that. This and a whole lot more coming up right now on The Solo Show. Brought to you, as always, by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney in the greater Orlando area with celebratingflorida.com and disneyatyourdoorstep.com. The future is bright indeed. We're all of us dreaming of the better days ahead, and a part of your bright new future could be a move to where the magic lives in the greater Orlando area of Florida. One of the biggest decisions you'll make when considering a move is selecting a realtor who can successfully match you with the right home in the right location at the right price. Victor Naraki is the realtor who can help you make the move you've always wanted to. Whether you're a first-time homeowner or looking to move near Disney World, Victor is in your corner. If you are looking for an experienced real estate agent covering all of Central Florida, please visit disneyatyourdoorstep.com today and find out just why you should work with Victor. I encourage you to create a free, no-obligation account on his website. By doing so, you'll unlock the website's full potential and be able to enter specific criteria, save listings, and browse new properties sent to your email. Visit disneyatyourdoorstep.com today or visit his Facebook page, Victor Naraki Realtor. And don't forget to tell him The Solo Show sent you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our final boarding call and the doors will be closing soon. Please board quickly and safely. Please stand clear of the doors. Thank you.
Broadcasting from the Solo Studios, located in the Multi-Universe's broom closet, here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the center of North America, on this little planet we call Earth, this is The Solo Show. On this adventure, Stan pulls out 2 guest host chairs for Justin Clark from the Grand Circle Tour podcast and Ken the voiceover guy who, let's be honest, looks a lot like Roger Ebert. They're going to review Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Did they give it 3 popcorn buckets? Or was it more Benedict, come on already? See what I did there? Join us now, and warning, spoilers do start at the 15-minute mark. So now, please welcome your host, the man who taught Benedict Wong everything about inter-universal navigation. Here's Stan Solo.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Solo Show. Or what's the Marvel introduction? Is there an introduction for Marvel? Hey, Marvel Maniacs.
Excelsior, that's what you have to say.
Well, that's the sign-off. That's kind of the sign-off that Stanley had.
Members of the Merry Marvel Marching Society.
There we go. Hey, members of the Merry Marching Marvel Society. Stan Solo here, not to be confused with the Stanley. We are here to talk about Doctor Strange. What is this? 2? What is it? My Mind is Madness? What's the name? What's the name of this movie?
The Multiverse of Madness. Or MOM, since it was released on Mother's Day.
Yes. I wonder if anybody picked up on that, actually.
Well, it came out before Mother's Day. It came out on the 5th, didn't it?
Well, the Friday before.
Friday before Mother's Day, yeah. The Multiverse of Madness. Alrighty. So joining us today is voiceover guy Ken from The Solo Show and Justin Clark, my good friend from the Grand Circle Tour podcast. My 2 favorite co-hosts are here with me. I got to say that because we got a Grand Circle Tour connection. So we're going to talk about Doctor Strange 2. First part we're going to do completely spoiler free. So you can listen. If you haven't seen the movie yet, don't shut us off. Listen to this part. But if you haven't, we're going to do a little break before we get into the spoiler part. But make sure you like this episode or this show or this adventure. What a big addition before you sign off, even if you don't listen to the whole thing. Like it anyways. Do me a favor.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you throw a thumbs up down when you do watch the video.
So throw a thumbs up down.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Did I say throw? I might have said throw a thumbs down. Up.
Apparently, it doesn't matter whether you do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It helps the show either way.
As long as people are watching, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, but you know what? We do this for fun, but it is also fun to have people watch.
Yes.
Anyways, let's get into the show. Justin, you saw it in 3D. Ken and I went together in Winnipeg, and Justin, you saw it in Minot, North Dakota. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
tell us about you had some fun theater experience, and so did Ken and I. You go first.
Well, okay. So first of all, there was about 2 employees in the entire theater when we got there, both behind the counter. So we had to go ask one of them for the 3D glasses, and then there was no one to even scan our ticket. So we just walked in, going, "Okay, I guess this is how things are working now." And the movie itself, unfortunately, the projector was not calibrated right or something, because as we were watching, once we started getting into the 3D, like the blurry background looked like it was in front of the rest of the scene. And it was awful to watch. We thought, well, maybe this would just get better. And, after the trailers were done, nope, it was like that the whole time. I spent most of the film holding my glasses like way out in front of my face, because that seemed to help a little bit.
Brother.
But it was kind of a miserable 3D experience. We may never go see another 3D movie in that theater again because it was so bad. And even when it got to like the closing credits, you could tell like half the screen was blurry.
Oh, jeez.
that's terrible. Now, were the trailers fine? Like, did you see the Avatar trailer?
That's when we first noticed the problem with the 3D, because that was the first 3D trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Go ahead, Ken.
All I was going to say, so that tells you that it was obviously the projector and not the film itself.
Yeah.
You had to send one of those 12-year-olds up there to focus, I guess. Oh, gee, sir, I'm too busy selling popcorn. I can't go up right now. The 3D was unnecessary for this movie. I wouldn't advise anybody to go see 3D for this. How about you, Ken? What did you think?
I absolutely agree with you. In fact, I kind of think I'm going to take a trip and I'm going to go and see it in 2D a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the 3D for me, I agree. It was just extraneous. Like, it just didn't really add anything to the experience.
And now Ken and I, we sat kind of close. We were in row 2 with the reclining seats, which in a normal theater, I guess would be like row 4 or 5. My favorite spot in that theater is actually row 3, because you're close enough that it's a big screen and you get to kind of move your head around to see stuff. You don't get distractions, but you're far enough that it doesn't strain your eyes. I find row 2 just to be a little bit too close in that particular theater.
No, I would agree with you on that. Like, and the sad thing of it was there was an entire row directly behind us that I don't think there was a single person in that row.
Yeah, and when I went to buy my tickets, it showed that row was sold out, and that's why I got row 2, because row 3 was completely sold out. And I'm like, well, I guess that one. Maybe they're only selling every other row, but there was people in row 1.
Oh yeah, there was people in front of us.
So it's not like they were selling every other row. Which was nice though, is that they're only selling 2 seats and then 2 seats empty and then 2 seats and 2 seats empty.
Yeah.
So we had a seat beside each of us to put all our crap on, like Ken's records he bought and at the mall.
Yes. And well, that's your fault. You pointed out the entertainment exchange to me.
Now Ken and I also had a problem where Ken actually had to go and complain to the 12-year-old at the front, because
it was kind of like being in a drive-in with the guy in front of you had his high beams on.
Yeah, there was 2 lights on either side of the screen shining directly in our eyes when the movie started. It was bugging me when we first sat down. Then the trailer started, and I guess, well, maybe they'll keep those on for when people that are coming in late. Then the movie started, and they were still shining, and it was actually a glare on the screen from them as well. Yeah. So then finally Ken said, I gotta go tell somebody about this. Like, this is terrible. Yeah. So Ken went and told them, and a little while later they shut it off. And if you look at Ken and I both posted on Facebook pictures, you could see those lights kind of in our picture even.
Yeah.
As I was looking at the picture I took, I'm like, oh yeah, there's those lights right there. So if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see those lights shining right in our eyes.
Well, that explains why you two were so well lit in those photos.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
That might have been the best selfie we've ever taken.
You know what? It was a really good selfie, actually.
And the sad thing about it was, I went out to talk to the woman that was sort of taking tickets and everything, and I just kind of came down the hall. I said, "Could somebody turn the lights off in our theater?" And she's like, "Oh yeah," and then she sort of strolled off. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Geez, thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah. So needless to say, like, this is only my second movie since COVID began, and Jungle Cruise was my only other movie, and then before that was Onward. So the movie going experience isn't what it once was. Judging
Not quite, no.
Yeah. So as real men complaining.
I saw Spider-Man No Way Home, and I think before that, was before COVID was. Last time I saw a movie in the theater.
Well, Stan and I were talking about that yesterday, and I was the first movie I've seen in a long time was Spider-Man No Way Home. I think that was on New Year's Eve. I went to see that with a friend, and prior to that, it took me a minute to think about it. Prior to that was Shazam. So that tells you how far back. Like, so that's pre-COVID.
Yeah, that's quite a bit pre-COVID.
Yeah. But
anyways, so the moving going experience wasn't what it once was to the three old white guys complaining on your radio.
So now that we're done yelling at everyone to get off our lawn, do we want to talk about the movie itself?
Let's talk about the movie.
I will give one positive thing there. The popcorn was good.
The popcorn was good. Yes.
The popcorn was fresh. So
yeah, and it was free refills also.
Yes.
Ken didn't get a refill. Ken, you get a refill every time you go. What's wrong with you? I should have taken your refill.
You should have, yes.
Why didn't I think of that? Oh man!
If you had thought of it yesterday, I would have said, "There's an idea." Yeah.
Yeah, I would have. Oh well. Anyways, what do you guys think of this movie? Ken, you can go first here. What were your overall thoughts?
Okay, without
being
going
spoiler
into
free here,
being 100% spoiler free, I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The story, maybe my one complaint about it is the story took a little longer than I think it was necessary. I think they dragged it out a little bit, especially in the third act. But performances were fantastic. Some of the things I'll talk about when we go into our spoiler thing there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, if I'm going to give it a number, I'm going to say 9 out of 10.
Wow. Oh, yeah, wow.
It's honestly, maybe it's because I've been dying for this one. I think I told you before, Doctor Strange is actually my personal favorite Marvel character. And I loved the first one. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch is perfect as Doctor Strange. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been really anticipating this one. And again, I can say this without tying into telling too much about spoilers. I really like the way they tied it into the What If episodes.
Yes. Yeah, I did like that. Alrighty, Justin, how about your thoughts?
Yeah, I really did enjoy a lot of the sort of fan service. Both Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen once again did fantastic jobs with their characters. I will have some more to say when we get into the spoiler section, but I would also like to point out, I mean, this was a Sam Raimi directed film, and you could really tell there's a lot of his flourishes and such throughout that were a lot of fun to see. He does a great job. So visually, you know, if you watch it in 2D, especially, so you can actually see the visual effects, that they look great, I'm sure. But overall, I did really enjoy it.
Okay. Are you giving it a number, 1 to 10?
I would probably go just a little bit lower than Ken, like maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah. I'm sitting around the 7 mark.
Wow.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a good popcorn movie. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I felt that the first Doctor Strange was a much more enjoyable movie. I had high hopes for it, so maybe that hurt because I had too much expectations because I did enjoy the first one so much. And Doctor Strange, like, I was a Marvel fan, but Doctor Strange was never one that appealed to me when I used to collect comic books and that. So maybe, I don't know if it's because I was so shocked on how good the first one was and I was expecting it for the second one and it didn't pay off for me, or the multiverse. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the multiverse, and Marvel seems to be placing they're all in on this multiverse, and I'm not thrilled about that. I felt that the Wave 1 with the Infinity Stones was a more interesting storyline to me.
I don't have a problem with the multiverse because, you know, I'm a big sci-fi fan in general, so that's a wonderful concept. For me, I felt like this film felt like it was trying to do a little too much, especially in setting up all these other things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the areas where I felt it was a little weak. It felt like it was trying to bring in too many things rather than focusing on its own story.
I would agree with you on that. That was like when I was talking about the pacing of the script and everything in the third act, it kind of reminded me, and again, another Sam Raimi film, of Spider-Man 3. If you remember the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3, it just seemed like they were trying to do just way too much stuff in the story. I mean, they were trying to introduce Venom, and they were trying to introduce the Sandman, and too much of the love story between Mary Jane and Peter Parker. And that would be, like I say, that's probably why I gave it a little lower, like a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10. Because they just seemed like, especially like again in the third act there, it just really seemed like they were just saying, okay, we got 15 minutes, let's cram as much as we can into this.
Yeah. And this isn't our first time seeing the multiverse, because we saw it with Loki. We saw it with, was Spider, I haven't even seen Spider-Man yet, the newest one. What is it, Home Alone? Or
No Way Home.
No Way Home, yeah.
No Way Home. Is that a multiverse story?
It involves the multiverse.
Yes.
Okay, and then there was an animated series of the Spider-Man that was a multiverse story as well.
Yeah, that would be, what was the name of it with Miles Morales?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. So that was
and that one's not technically part of the MCU, though.
No, it's not. but yeah, so we are kind of familiar with the multiverse already in that regard. And I don't know. Hopefully, I turn around and I start enjoying it, because that's the way they're going.
And of course, we should mention what if you're going to talk about MCU projects involving a multiverse.
Yeah,
and that's just it. Like this could have been Doctor Strange. What if? Almost. It felt more like a what if episode than it did a regular Marvel's MCU show.
At one point, I turned to my wife and said, "But all we need is the Watcher to show up now."
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. The only thing that was missing was the Watcher wasn't there. Alrighty, we're going to take a 30-second break. We're going to play a very short trailer of Doctor Strange. I'm Madness or whatever. I don't know. And we'll get into the spoiler part. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to pause us and go see the movie, then come back.
Doctor Strange, I always suspected this day would come. Because you always suspected this day would come. I'm ready.
On May 6th, nothing can prepare you for the mind-bending descent into madness.
This is the only way.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Rated PG-13. See it in premium large formats and IMAX.
That's a good-looking movie. We should go see that.
Yes.
that looked fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I changed my mind. I enjoyed it after all.
There wasn't as much madness in this film as we were advertised, though.
Yeah.
Too true.
Yeah.
Too true.
Yeah.
We definitely had a multiverse, but there wasn't as much madness.
Alrighty, so let's go a little bit through the storyline. So what's the basic storyline in this movie? I don't want to talk about it. You guys talk about it.
Well, almost immediately we are introduced to a new character whose name is America, and I found that name distracting the whole way through. Every time they referred to her by name, I just felt distracted and taken out of the film.
Yeah. It took a couple of times before I realized, like, are they saying America? Or are they calling her America? It took me a little bit to catch on. And I guess she's a long-time character, but she came along after I stopped collecting, I think.
Yeah, that is her name in the comics, and they seem to have created her in live action somewhat faithfully. But yeah, she was that character name just distracted me every time I heard it.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I don't actually know that comic. I've never read she's Ms. Marvel, I think, or something to that effect, right? Is that her?
Miss America.
Miss America. Did anybody else think it was strange that this girl from another planet was named America?
Yeah, good point. Now, does her planet have an America, maybe? And that she had an American flag type jacket, and that's why that was her nickname, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't read those comics either.
Like she had like an American flag type jacket.
It sounds fun. It's so distracting.
It could be like a nickname that was given to her that stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there might be another planet. The planet you're from might have an America and have an American flag. So I can see that making sense. But no, I agree. So she's getting trapped. She's like getting attacked by a octopus.
A giant octopus.
A giant
invisible octopus. And we are really not making this up.
No, exactly. This is not Sherlock Holmes fights the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's a different movie.
Yeah, that would have made sense at least. So Doctor Strange rescues her, and she says, "I'm the only one of me. There's unlimited amounts of Doctor Stranges. There's unlimited amounts of Sarah Parkers, but I'm the only me." Well, isn't that special? Anyway,
we're real happy for you, aren't we?
Yeah. So she can time travel or go between universes, but has no idea how or why.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to control this power or why she has this power. We never find out anything about why she is the only one of her across all of the multiverses. This just is.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things in the screen. There's like I say, there's 2 or 3 points in the movie that kind of did tick me off. That's one of them, because that is such a cliche. The person who has this unlimited power but has no idea how to control it until the very last moment in the film when they absolutely need it. And all of a sudden it's like, you're Superman whirling around the world at supersonic speed, changing, turning back time.
Well, yeah. When she decides, okay, maybe I can control this, she controls it perfectly.
Yeah.
No problems, no hesitation, nothing.
That's when she puts her fist in her hand, and then she knows how to do it or something like that.
Exactly. Maybe that's like there's a USB port there or something, and that she plugged into it or something.
But what's funny is so not only does she have this power where she can travel between multiverses, but she also has one hell of a punch.
Yeah.
Like, where does that come from?
No kidding. Chuck Norris is somewhere going, how do I do that?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the way I understand it, so the storyline is Wanda wants to get her kids that she's dreaming about. So she wants to go into another universe and kidnap them or take them or have them. And they want to stop her.
Or stay there with them, maybe?
Yeah. And these people want to stop her from having happiness. Is that the storyline in a nutshell?
Yeah, and here's my problem with the Scarlet Witch storyline, and it's basically that I felt like the character arc that she goes through in this film is almost exactly the same one that she just went through in WandaVision, where she's trying to find her way to happiness for what, and however she envisions it, and has to be shown how much she is hurting people and how much of a monster she's turning into as she's doing it, only to then at the end go, oh, right, I shouldn't do this, and stops.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same storyline, both stories.
Yeah, so it's like I felt like we just had this storyline with her kind of repeated here, and I wanted it to be a little different. I mean, I understand where they're trying to kind of pick up the thread from where they left off in WandaVision, but it just felt like it was the same character arc.
Yeah, I don't think they developed it completely right. The only thing I would say, the only difference that you see there is now I think she sort of realized that she has the power to maybe make this happen for herself. And it's like the old saying about absolute power corrupts absolutely. When you realize all of a sudden that you have the power to literally change the universe, even though you've tried this once already, now that you have this ability, are you going to try it again?
Yeah.
I felt like that what they should have done is leaned in a bit more into the whole Darkhold itself, about how that was corrupting her and forcing her down this path. I didn't get that from this film. They make mention of it occasionally about how the Darkhold has this effect on people, but we didn't really get that sense or that development in her character that's what was happening. This felt like she just wanted to get her kids back.
Her fingertips turned black a little bit, showing that the Darkhold is kind of draining her power.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah. Now the bonus footage at the end of WandaVision, I know that there was in the end scene, she's in that cabin in the woods and she's meditating by herself. Were the kids with her in that cabin? Am I remembering it wrong?
No,
she could hear her kids at one point just before they cut to the end.
Oh, okay.
Like she could hear them possibly, across the multiverse.
Yeah, so that was kind of her dreaming that the kids are in another universe type of thing. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't. It was, like I said, it was fun. But, the scenes with the superhero leaders, Mr. Fantastic,
the Illuminati. So
the Illuminati,
they do cross over into a couple of different alternate realities across the multiverse. One of which turns out to be Universe 838, and there is this group called the Illuminati, which consists of Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. We've got Morbo back as to be the Sorcerer Supreme in this universe. Maria Rambeau is now Captain Marvel in this universe, and we even get Captain Carter from the What If series.
Mm-hmm.
And Professor X.
And Professor X from the X-Men cartoon animated series.
Yeah, because they had the animated theme song when he came out.
Yes.
Now,
that little touch there.
This is my problem with the multiverse. It's like we can have these characters that are completely disposable and kill off heroes, and everybody could go, "Oh, I can't believe they killed Professor X. I can't believe they killed Reed Richard." Well, and it's like, but we didn't kill the Earth one. We killed the fake one. We killed one that is. It's basically a what if episode, and that's what kind of turned me off from this, because there's no consequences at all.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. Like it's fine to kill 836's Reed Richards as long as you don't kill, was it 616, the Earth one?
Yeah.
Like our Reed Richards. We don't want to kill our Reed Richard, but we could kill off 80 Doctor Stranges. It doesn't make a difference. Well, it does to those universes.
It does. You got to wonder what's going to happen in that universe after these events, when they killed off like pretty much all their superheroes in one go. Yeah. So I find that kind of cheesy, bad, just lazy.
It's kind of weak writing.
Yeah. And that's my problem I have with this multiverse universe.
Yeah, that whole sequence seemed to exist mostly to show us how powerful the Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah.
Well, I would say even more than that. I'd say that scene is really there. It's for the fans, because you look at the actors playing those characters. There's been a fan attempt to get Patrick Stewart back as Professor X, obviously, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name that played Reed Richards, John
Krasinski or something like that.
That's it, Krasinski. Thank you. Yeah, and I have to admit, the one thing I did like in that scene was seeing Black Bolt looking like the Black Bolt from the comic books, looking like the Jack Kirby Black Bolt, as opposed to when they tried to do the Inhumans on that television series that I don't think 7 people watched.
I watched it. It was
okay. Well, you were one of the.
I'm sorry to hear that, because I tried to watch it and I could not get all the way through it.
I think I watched the first 3 episodes or whatever.
I don't think
it's
I
on
even
Disney
made it that
Plus.
far. Yeah, I don't think I even made it into 3.
And don't get me wrong, I thought that scene was amazing. It was. I absolutely loved it that we had Black Bolt and the Captain Marvel and Reed Richards and Professor X all on the same stage, but then they just snap them and they're gone. It was kind of like it was like, well, that was pointless. Almost.
Well, that's what I say. Like, that scene is more like fan service than it was actually driving the. I mean, they could have done basically that exact same sequence with just Baron Mordo and Stephen Strange. They brought in the rest of them just to sort of say, "Oh, look, Patrick Stewart. Oh, look, John Krasinski. Yay, we've been waiting for them."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, look, they brought back that guy from Inhumans? What?
What were they thinking?
Why would they do that?
Well, you can tell a lot of people in the audience were like, who the heck are these guys? Who's that guy? Even Doctor Strange said there's some guy with a tuning fork on his head.
Yeah, that's right, too.
What else did you guys want to hit there? Justin, you had some things you wanted to talk about.
Well, like I said, the biggest thing I had wanted to talk about was that character arc for Wanda, being so similar to the others. I did like a lot of what the Sam Raimi flourishes, like the Bruce Campbell cameo. That was a lot of fun to see Bruce Campbell show up and kind of make fun of his Evil Dead days, having a hand that's gonna punch himself in the face.
When you saw that scene, so this is with Poppy, I think was his name, the
Pizza Papa or something like that. Yeah,
Pizza Papa, the pizza ball vendor. It had Stan Lee still been alive, you know that would have been Stan Lee's part.
Absolutely. Yep.
I totally saw that would have been Stan Lee there punching himself in the face to get a laugh, and
I don't know that Sam Raimi would have had Stan Lee punching himself in the face.
I think he would have been hot dog.
But this is exactly the sort of thing that he loves to do to Bruce Campbell, and they do this all throughout. They've done this all throughout their career of doing things like this.
Yeah, but the pizza ball guy would have been Stan Lee, I think, in this movie if he was still around.
Yeah, he just wouldn't have been punching himself in the face.
Probably not punching himself.
He would have found some other way for poor Bruce Campbell to beat up on himself.
Yeah.
I like the line where he's like, we go on red here, and she says the first rule of multiverse travel is you don't know anything about the multiverse, and then she goes, like, for instance, there's no money here. And he goes, hey, you got to pay for that. Oh, there is money here.
Or maybe not. Yeah.
There was a couple of like funny parts like that I really appreciated, like the little bits of Marvel humor that that they're kind of known for.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't over the top. I would like that a little bit more humor spots like that.
This movie gets really dark as you get into the third act. And I mean, talking about being a Sam Raimi film, there's some real horror elements to that third act. Like if I had kids, I would hesitate to show them anybody in a, say under 12 years old. I would hesitate to let them see this movie, because there's the one scene that actually even made me jump out of my seat a little bit, where Elizabeth Olsen sort of does her little jump scare there, and she's covered not in blood, but it looks like blood. It's probably hydraulic fluid from all of the Ultron robots that she's just smashed up and turned into next week's spam tins.
Looking and Carrie.
Exactly. Like that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's a very good comparison, because she's just got this sort of Evil Dead look about her, and that's one of the things. I'm a Sam Raimi fan going back to as far back as Evil Dead and so on, and I loved those touches. And this is very much a Sam Raimi movie, like even beyond a Marvel movie. If you took out Doctor Strange and a couple of other elements, you could make this a Sam Raimi movie with minimal effort.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, her coming out of like the gong when she's escaping the mirror universe.
Yeah, that
was creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Doctor Strange as a zombie being carried around by these black evil spirits.
Yeah.
And that zombie, every time he saw me, he got looking a little worse than the frame before, it seemed. I find it interesting that you called it a horror movie, because I actually had this conversation with my physiotherapist today, and he wants to bring his kids to it, which are young. I believe his kids are like 12 and 10. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked, like, he heard it was a horror, and I didn't think it was a horror. And he said, well, someone else told him that they felt it was kind of like a horror. And I'm like, well, but it's interesting that you Justin, would you call it a horror?
I don't know if I'd call it a horror film, but it definitely has enough horror elements that if you're concerned about that sort of thing, like Ken says, you might hesitate to bring children to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a good thing to note for sure.
There's definitely a couple of moments in that film that, like you say, sort of reminded me of some other horror films. And I think that's probably on purpose. Like you say, the scene where she comes out of the gong is very much right out of The Ring. The scene where she does her jump scare there very much reminded me of the original Evil Dead back in 82 or whatever it was. Like there's some pretty graphic stuff in that movie. And like I say, I would hesitate with a younger kid. But I think certainly most people kind of go into that knowing what they're getting into as well. As long as you take the time to research it. I mean, if you're a Sam Raimi fan, you're going to get stuff like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, and then the other thing I wanted to mention is Wong as the Sorcerer Supreme. He's all, okay, we have to get her away from the Darkhold and all of this. And the one person manages to destroy the Darkhold. And then, because, if we let her have all this power, she's going to destroy all of the multiverse. Then she threatens like 4 people, and he's like, all right, let me tell you where to get.
That was just a copy. That was a copy. Yeah. We got an original one somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll take you there.
To the original.
And then he says, and then he says, I'll take you there. And he actually does take her there. Like, instead of taking her to the pits of wherever, he takes her to the actual dark. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, what was his plan exactly?
And
Other
it's
than
funny,
get thrown off a cliff.
and it's funny too how he's always getting after Doctor Strange about you never plan ahead, you just do these things. And then he sort of shows up at the base of the mountain. The only thing I did like was that she makes that crack. She kind of looks at him and go, "What? You couldn't have transported us all the way? We got to climb the rest."
Yeah. Again, and that's because they know that Stan's watching, and I'll make that comment if they don't address it. that would be something I would point out.
Yeah.
They're like, well, Stan's gonna be watching this, so we better address it. Why he didn't get closer to the top of the mountain?
And speaking of what if, we mentioned this a couple of times now, because they brought in the Marvel zombies, they brought in Captain Carter, they brought in all these kind of elements. But if you remember in What If, first of all, Christine dies in every time he tries to save her in that episode, and they've thrown that out for the MCU. So it was kind of interesting to see that instead they just never get together throughout all of this.
I thought that episode ended with that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that was sort of the ending of the final of that episode, was that he realized that the only way that she would survive is if he never connected with her. I mean, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that.
That's how I remember it as well, but it might have been because you told me that yesterday.
Maybe. But I'm pretty sure I remember that being the ending of that.
Her and every time he did, he tried to get more and more powerful, and he finally got powerful enough to save her, and then she didn't want anything to do with him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because he became so twisted and evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. I did like the nods to the What If. I did like the nods to WandaVision. It just and the movie. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it just didn't hit me in the gut well. If that makes any sense.
No, that does. I can see that.
Yeah.
As much as I was distracted by America's Name, I did like the way they kind of introduced her without having to give us this whole long, drawn-out origin story for her. We get the one little bit of memory lane to go, oh, well, this is where her power started. And we know enough about her character to know her motivations.
I liked when he was talking to her about the other heroes, and he's mentioned Spider-Man, and she goes, Spider-Man? He goes, why is he called Spider-Man? He goes, well, he's a man, but he's like a spider. She goes, he looks like a spider? He goes, no, he looks like a man, but he shoots webs. Like, out of his butt? No, not out of his butt. He goes, well, I don't think he shoots him out of his butt. I don't know.
I hope not.
I hope not. Yeah.
Well, and see, in the Tom Holland one, he's another one that makes his own. I think, was it Tobey Maguire that
a Sam Raimi element, as a matter of
fact.
fact.
The Sam Raimi one, that actually shoots webs out of his body.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene and I can say this without ruining anything for you. There's a scene in the Tom Holland one where somebody makes reference to that, and I think didn't one of the characters actually ask, "Do you shoot webs out of your butt? Like, did they come out anywhere else?"
I think just anywhere else. I think was as close as they got to it. But I think it was the Garfield one who asked Tobey Maguire.
Yeah,
did they come out anywhere else?
But anyways, so Ken, you're going to go see it again. Justin, would you go see this again, or you're going to wait for it to hit Disney Plus?
I would be willing to see it again. I will definitely see it again, whether it's in the theater or on Disney Plus or on Blu-ray or whatever, in 2D, so I can appreciate it a little better.
Well, that's the thing, exactly, and that's kind of why I actually do want to see it one more time in the theater. One of the things you mentioned right at the beginning was how beautiful this movie is, and I think this is just gorgeous. The cinematography in this and Sam Raimi's direction is just honestly one of my favorite things about the movie. There's two or three things I just want to quickly mention. The cinematography in this movie, whether it's in 3D or 2D, is just brilliant. I just thought it was just gorgeous. The scene where they're traveling between the multiverses and you see the one animated and then the next is the paint version and this sort of thing is terrific. The other thing I got to say is how much did I love Danny Elfman's score to this movie. I'm a huge movie score guy. There's the scene where he's fighting the Earth 838 Doctor Strange, and they're fighting with music notes. And Danny Elfman's scoring of that sequence is some of my favorite movie scoring, I think, ever. Like, this might actually replace Batman as my favorite Danny Elfman score. Like, everything about the score was just perfect.
That is high praise. I will give you that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it kind of had the Avengers soundtrack every once in a while popping in there, and especially when I want to say Captain Britain, Captain Carter.
Captain
Carter's in there. Yeah, you would get the Avengers soundtrack.
I did love the music fight between the two Doctor Stranges.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun as well. Just the sheer insanity of the visuals and everything
of the notes striking each other, and then that little tiny note coming from the harp being the big thing that actually, that one little ping.
Yeah, so
it was very inventive. And creative. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So the Marvel Universe is back. I think this is kind of like the first one of the MCU, I believe, right?
I think so.
Because we've had the Disney Plus things, but otherwise we haven't had movies yet for Phase 4.
Yeah. So what's the next movie coming out? Do we know?
I think the next one is Thor: Love and Thunder. We saw the trailer for that.
So yeah.
I think that's next on the roster. That one looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, is that going to be a multiverse one, or is that going to be something different again?
You know what? It's Taika Waititi directing it, who directed Ragnarok, so you never know with him. Like, it could go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. We can go anywhere with that one. So that's the one. That's the next one coming up. I'm looking forward to that one too. I'm really excited about that one. So we'll check that one soon. We're going to wrap it up here. I say go see it. It's a fun movie. Just despite all my criticisms of it, it's a fun movie for sure. But I'm not gonna go see it again. I'm going to wait for it to come in on Disney Plus and watch it again then.
Well, I think at the rate they've been moving things lately, you probably only got about 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, true enough. I'll be on Disney Plus before long for sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Ken.
Yes.
Take it away.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. All logos, sounds, and songs that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned solely by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be, the ownership of The Solo Show podcast. We hope you'll join us for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.